1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good luck editing this video, Mohammed.
Okay.
Most difficult experience outside of work. If you want the most honest answer, what would I be if I wasn't a neurosurgeon? That's such a good question. Yes, I did it. Oh, there's been loads. This is a great question. Every window in Glasgow, right? I'm a stickler for life. Yes, I've thought of quitting neurosurgery. Most difficult experience outside of work. If you want the most honest answer, was probably the day my mum went to have a pacemaker put in. I was working as a junior doctor. I was, I think, second year. I was working general surgery, and having done it at a hospital, I was at work all day, and then kept my mind off it, went, and then I knew when I went to check on her that something wasn't quite right, because they said, first they knew I was a doctor because they said, "Are you the doctor on call tonight?" And I said, "No, I'm visiting my mum." And then they said, "Okay, Dr. White will come and speak to you, and as a doctor you know that something bad's happened." And she had been really unwell, but she was okay afterwards. She was in intensive care for a while, but that was one of the most challenging situations outside of work that I've ever faced. What would I be if I wasn't a neurosurgeon? That's such a good question. A few years ago, I probably would have said like some sort of personal trainer or something like that. But these days, I'd probably do something in tech. I'd learn to code. I'd make my own apps with my knowledge that I have from medicine. There's a few ideas circulating around that I'd love to get to. And probably go into social media with the Neurosurgeons YouTube channel, except I wouldn't be a neurosurgeon anymore. So I'd go into tech and social media because I think that's probably going to be the future for a lot of people. Biggest fear, I think about this quite often because I have experienced losing someone quite early as a kid. I am fearful that I don't prepare my own children for when I am not around. So I always think about, you know, when I'm not around, will they be able to look after themselves in all ways? So I'm fearful of that. It's something I work on with the family all the time. Yes, I did it. Oh, there's been loads. Yes, I did it when I proposed to my now wife. We've known each other for 10 years. Yes, I did it when we got married. Yes, I did it when I had my first and second daughter. Yes, I did it when I passed my neurosurgery exams because they are a real pain in the behind. Yeah, there's been a lot of yes, I did it so far, and hopefully there's going to be a lot more. Most stressful experience in the operating theatre has to do with bleeding. I think probably a lot of surgeons would agree that major blood loss is relatively stressful, and we knew we were in for a difficult case with this patient's brain tumour. There was myself and 2 consultants, and we knew it would bleed, but we didn't know it was going to bleed that much. And I think we transfused nearly 20 units of red cells for this not young woman who survived and did well. And I saw her a couple of months later. But when things get really bad, and thankfully, if I had some wood, I'd touch it. It doesn't happen that often. But when it gets to that stage, you are having those thoughts in your head like, will this person get off the table? What's going to happen if I can't stop this? So that was the most stressful experience in the operating theatre. This is a great question. What would I do with the elephant? I would keep the elephant as a pet, and I would take it out for walks. I would maybe take it to people who are lonely to meet the elephant, because maybe it would cheer them up. It could be like a therapy elephant. And yeah, maybe I could speak to the elephant as well about some of my problems. So I'd make him a therapy elephant. Every window in Glasgow, right? I'm a stickler for like time management and like how much my time costs. So how many windows? Well, let's say there's 1 million houses, 4 million. So how much should I charge per window? Like £5, so like 20 million, I'd say. I'd wash them all for £20 million. Last gift I gave someone was, well, I gave 3 gifts at the same time to some of the consultants who trained me, but the last one was probably a book. It didn't cost that much, probably about £20. It was a book called Flow, which is about psychology, and something I think the person I gave it to has found interesting. So my last gift was a book. Yes, I've thought of quitting neurosurgery some point in the middle of training when it was extremely difficult in terms of how tired you were and the end, so to speak, of training wasn't in sight. But that went, I would be surprised if people said that they hadn't thought at some point about quitting, because unless everyone finds it a lot easier than me, because it is incredibly difficult. Be able to be completely autonomous with my own time, aka not wake up with an alarm clock. Go traveling to the south of France with my wife, no children, for a month, and drink nice wine. And finally would be to, it's a difficult one for the third one, but I'd probably say have enough time to maybe go away from neurosurgery and help a lot of people that need help, who don't just have neurosurgical problems. So probably do a lot of charity work.